Welcome back, everybody, to the Irish Fury, and I am the Irish Fury, and I hope the audio is picking up okay. So, I had a fairly kind of like, I won't say an argument, but well, it depends on how you define argument. Argument is not always negative. An argument is oftentimes just a discussion that is, you know, there is a philosophical definition for argument. I've never looked it up, but I do know that there is an actual structure and it is part of discussion. So I had an argument with a guy there in the not too distant recently, and we were talking about mass immigration, and I was talking to him. I was saying that I was talking about being Irish, and this is an Irishman, keep in mind. His name is Mihal, and he was all for defining the fact that you know, we're all human, and that he doesn't believe in definitions, he doesn't believe in labels, and he was the most slippery customer you'd ever meet. Because I would say, well, because it was cold enough, he had a hat on his head as I did. I said, well, this morning you put that on your head and you called that something. I said, you know, you gave it a label. It is labeled something. So this morning you put your hat on your head. And when I'm going away here now, I'm going to get on my bike. That is my bike there, okay? So we label things in order to define them so that we may better navigate the world around us. And that was one of the things that we said. And, you know, he was quite for... So also he said, you know, like he wasn't into definitions, yet at one point in the discussion, he actually went so far as to infer... He didn't call it directly to my face, but he said, you know, you could be called like far right, and you could be called a fascist, you know? Like, whereupon I just said to him, well, what is a fascist? I just asked him straight, what's a fascist? And he said, I don't know, you tell me. You're the one asking the question. So, you know, he was constantly doing these double turns and these workarounds and these slip out of the loophole and putting it back on me the whole time, you know? Whereas it's very cowardly when you keep doing that. Keep doing it, you know? But he said, I didn't actually take him up on that. I should have actually held him on that right at that point and said, well, for a man who doesn't believe in definitions or labels, you're very quick to actually put those definitions and labels on me. Which of course he could then have retorted because he didn't directly do so. But the point being that as he was leaving, I want to make the point that as he was leaving, he said, you're right. He goes, you know, you're right. But I could tell he was saying, you're right, simply because, I don't know, maybe it was a learned tactic that he learned at one stage to say that in order to actually win the argument, you just tell the other person that you're right. And then you have the last word, and then it is over. And I don't know what I said today. I can't remember. My memory doesn't recall. But, you know, I'm actually going to posit this fact here now, and that is this, that I wasn't right. I was true. You understand? There's a difference. So if you're arguing an argument to be right, it's not the same thing as arguing in an argument to speak the truth. And the problem is that every time people argue fantasies and unrealities, they're all the time always going to be coming up against the truth. And so if they come up against somebody who's speaking the truth, they're going to have a hard time of it because they have to fight for what is not true. And so I would argue the fact that I wasn't right. I would argue the fact that I was true. I was being objectively true.